Lesson 11, let's look some more at the sign rules for adding and subtracting integers. I've listed them here again for you on this page. Remember, these still work whether we're subtracting or adding. Same rules. Subtracting a positive is just the same as adding a negative. 6 minus 3 is the same as 6 plus negative 3. And remember, when you have two negative signs together, we can turn that into a positive. In other words, 5 minus negative 3, it's the same as 5 plus 3. Once again, if we have the same signs of like signs, we'll add the numbers and keep the signs. When we have unlike signs, we will subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger one as far as absolute value larger goes. Remember again, these are just the rules for adding and subtracting, not multiplying and dividing integers. Those will come later. Example 1, negative 8 minus negative 8. Well, let's first change that minus a negative and make it plus a positive. So it's really negative 8 plus 8. Well, I have opposite signs here, so I'm going to subtract them. And 8 minus 8, of course, would give me 0, and we know it's neither positive nor negative, so there it's just 0. If I have example 2, 3 minus 15, I have to subtract. I really have to say 15 minus 3 and come up with the answer 12. Then I look, what's my sign going to be? Well, the larger absolute value one was negative, so this is a negative 12. I keep the sign of the larger. For number 3, I'm going to fix these two negatives that are together. I'm going to say 84 plus 20. And of course, that makes it really easy. 84 plus 20, 104. And example 4, I have 8 minus 9. Opposite signs, because this 8 really is a positive 8, right? So I say 8 minus 9. Really, I'm going to have to say 9 minus 8 gives me a 1. But I keep the negative sign because 9 has a greater absolute value than 8. Let's do some translation for 5, 6, 7, and see what we can do here. Remember, the translation handout should be, you should keep that handy until you've got it memorized. We have to remember that in example 5, subtract from translates backwards. Even if the words are not together, subtracted from has to be backwards. So if I say subtract 10 from negative 22, the one I write first is the second one. Negative 22, then I say minus what comes next, 10. Now I want to simplify this. Negative 22 minus 10, both of them are negative. When I have both the same sign, I add the numbers. I would come up with the number 32, and I keep the sign, which is negative. Example 6 says find the difference. Well, once again, difference means subtract, but this time it's not translated backwards, so I'm going to write it in the order that they come in the problem. I'm going to say negative 8 minus negative 13. That was tricky because I ended up with two negatives together. Remember, the negative that I wrote after the 8 is really from the word difference. The negative 13 is really from the term, that's the value of the negative 13. So when I say negative 8 minus 13, I'm really saying negative 8 plus 13. Those have opposite signs, so I will subtract them. I will say 13 minus 8 gives me a 5, and I'll keep the sign of the larger one. 13 is larger, so it's a positive 5. Next, number 7 says subtract 12 from 2. Well, there's that translated backwards one again, subtracted from. So I've got to write my 2 first, and then I'm going to say minus the first term that I've got to subtract. It's going to be a negative 12. Once again, I've got two negatives together. This is really 2 plus 12, and a 2 plus 12. I add them. They have the same sign, and I keep the sign. It's positive. Let's do some adding and subtracting with more than two terms now. When the numbers are all added and subtracted, what you really want to do is just work on two numbers at a time. Now let's take number 8, example 8, and let's fix the value so that you can see it could be written a different way. We could say negative 15 minus 8 minus 4, because plus a negative, when I have two signs right there together, just separated by parentheses, I can really fix that if I want to. And that's the same problem. Either way you want to look at it is fine. I have negative 15 minus 8. Both of those have the same sign, so I'm going to add them together. I'm going to get 23, and I'll keep the sign, which is negative, and then I'm going to write the rest of my problem down, minus 4. Well, 23 minus 4 is going to be same sign, add them, and keep the sign, negative 27. Okay, you should be able to do number 9. If you want to cut off the tape, stop the tape and work it, and then come back to the explanation, that would be great. Let me show you how number 9 works. First, I'm going to go ahead and translate it or fix these double signs here. I've got plus and negative. That's the same as just minus. And then I've got 2 negatives, minus a negative 21. That's the same as plus 21 and minus 2. Now, all the operations are addition and subtraction. I'm going to work 2 of them at a time. I'm going to say 5 minus 18. Opposite signs I'll have to subtract. I'll have to say 18 minus 5 gives me 13. And then I keep the sign of the larger one, which was the 18. So I got negative 13. Let me just write down the rest of my problem. I'm going to work 2 more now. The next 2 I come to, negative 13 plus 21. Once again, opposite signs. When I say 21 minus 13, if you want to, write it down. It's always better than making a mistake on it. You'll see it's an 8. It's a positive 8 because the larger term was positive. The rest of my problem has to be brought down then, minus 2. And then I can say 8 minus 2. The answer is 6.